This book will show you the clear path to greatness in your business. I've shared this with friends that got the audiobook and loved it. Now I want to share it with you too. So in this video, you will get 10 takeaways that prepare you for greatness. This is not sponsored in any way. Good to Great by Jim Collins is a look inside the vault. This is an opening of the curtain at two types of companies. All were in similar positions in their industries, but some soared or others didn't. In fact, the ones that did not soar fell off. He shares everything you need from both angles. What the great companies did or didn't do, and what the not so great companies did or didn't do. He breaks the book down into 3 areas. Let's call them the 3 Ds: disciplined people, disciplined thought, and disciplined action. In each of these areas, there are key things he mentions. The 10 points I will share today come from all 3 areas. This is not part of the 10, but I'm giving an honorable mention to the quotes in the book. He starts every chapter with quotes, and I like them. Number 1, the first words in the book helped me take a deep sigh of relief. A recent story will help you understand this. I was getting some artwork design recently, which represents my brand. I asked for some feedback from a group of business owners, and the feedback was excellent. They helped take what I wanted to a new level. As we talked more about the artwork, we made it better. We would discuss different angles and then take notes. I would then go back to the designer and present the feedback. When the designer sent it back, we did the same thing again. Years ago, I would have an idea and get it made and release it. I thought I had all the answers, but things have changed for the better over the years. But we got to a point where most were happy. On this occasion, I knew there was more. I said I would get a few more changes. Someone said, "It's good." And my response was, "Good is the enemy of great." I took the artwork, made the last few changes, and made it great. There were no hard feelings, everyone understood, but that wasn't always the case. For large parts of my life, I felt like few people understand me. There's times I've questioned if I'm normal. Like, why is no one understanding what I'm saying or thinking? Part of that was me, but part of this was realizing not everybody wants the same things. Some people like to be slaves to a 60-hour-a-week job. Some are comfortable getting paid to log in and work from home with no fulfillment. Not me. To break out of this system, you must defeat this enemy. And Jim Collins tells you who one of the enemies are right away. He starts the book with these words: "Good is the enemy of great." And that is one of the key reasons why we have so little that becomes great. As I read these words, I took a sigh of relief as I thought over scenarios from years past where people didn't get it. Times when things were going well, but I wanted things to get better. There wasn't something wrong with me. It's not always you self-sabotaging. There are times when others are fine with good, but you know there's much more for you. It's you pursuing greatness, and that's fine. Reading those words reminded me there is nothing wrong with you pursuing greatness. Number 2, I remember road trips as a young boy with my dad and brothers. We would go on these car rides that seemed like hours. We'd ask my dad, "How long's left until we get there? Are we there yet? What's taking so long? Did we go the wrong way?" We would ask these questions as if my dad didn't know where we were going, but he did. And although he would say a time, we would still ask minutes later as if he didn't already answer. My children do it to me now, so it's kind of funny. But the point is, when you know where you are going, sometimes it takes long, but keep going. Stay on the correct route and don't change because of the noise. That is one of the things I realized as I read from page 12 to 13. One thing he talks about in the first section, disciplined people, is the level 5 leader. All the companies that became great had a level 5 leader. As he explains the type of person this was, I'm thinking to myself, that's how I am in many ways. But why am I not part of this great and successful company, I thought? Well, I started thinking how I thought this was not the type of person that is successful. You need to be loud, cutthroat, and take no prisoners. These were things I had taken on in the past and got some results. But those were things level 4 leaders did. And level 4 leaders are the ones he found in all the companies that were not great and fell off. But it made sense. You are more likely to see a level 4 leader on social media. And if you're not careful, they might trick you into thinking you need to be this way, but you'd be wrong. They may have success for a season, but it is not going to last. This is like the first point in my video on the 4 steps to make $10,000 a month in your business. And it's the kind of thing I mentioned fighting against in my recent video on imposter syndrome. As I read about the type of leader you need to be to become great, the thing that kept ringing in my head was, keep going, keep doing the right things, and it's only a matter of time before you arrive, even if it seems like the journey is taking long. And that's what discipline is at the end of the day, isn't it? Number 3, there's 6 pages where he talks about decisions these 2 groups of businesses made. Before I talk about that, because it's important, I want to read something from page 69. Under the heading, Facts Are Better Than Dreams, he starts by saying, one of the dominant themes from our research is that breakthrough results come about by a series of good decisions diligently executed and accumulated one on top of another. In simple terms, make good decisions, repeat it, and breakthrough results come. Kind of like what I was saying about the car journey. But what does this look like? From page 54 to 59, he shares examples. He talks about firing people, endless restructuring, dress code or your presentation. And I talk about this a lot in my recent video about building a $1 billion brand. He talks about not firing the wrong people fast enough. He talks about putting your best team members on the best opportunities. As I'm reading these pages, it's making more sense. Years ago, I would stop working with someone the moment life got in the way for them one time. Years ago, I would fire someone if they were not at the level I needed them. As much as I love to grow, I had short patience for staff needing time to grow. I always wanted to get the best deals on what I paid them. I would give hard critique with little or no praise. Collins says the great companies fired 5 times less than the other companies. Everything falls into 2 categories: great versus not great, wise versus foolish, and good versus bad. On page 55, he shares an example of a company. They focused on employees who were the last point of contact between them and the customers. He shares things these employees had to do. You tell me if these are great, wise and good, or not great, foolish and bad. They must wear company uniform, shave and not smell bad. Could you imagine someone working for you who smells bad as he delivers your product? Imagine me talking and my clothes are dirty or ripped up. Everything you do is telling a story to people. A great one or a not so great one. You decide though. Number 4, is this glass half empty or half full? I always felt I was a positive person, but a few years ago I started being even more intentional with seeing things in a positive way. But I realized something. I'm not as positive as I thought. To get to the next level, I need to be even more positive. Jim shares a concept which has worked for thousands of years. He called it the Stockdale Paradox. The name refers to Admiral Jim Stockdale, who got taken prisoner during the Vietnam War. He got tortured over 20 times over an 8-year period, but lived to tell the tale. Why did the Admiral survive? In his own words, he says, I never lost faith in the end of the story. I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn the experience into the defining event of my life, which in retrospect, I would not trade. He was able to do 2 things at the same time. Every company that became great did the same in adversity. Remain faithful, you will win in the end, despite difficulty, and at the same time confront the brutal facts of the situation. So if he believed this is his life's defining moment, but said he was not in prison, that's positive but untrue. If he lacked faith, he'd survive, but accepted he was in prison, he would likely die, like others he talks about. But if he believed no matter what, he will make it out, but accepted he was a prisoner at that moment, he would be great. It's a paradox, but something that empowers you to reach levels you could never imagine. I talked about this in my video on how to make this year the best year of your life. John Maxwell says in his book, Today Matters, when you do things you thought were impossible, you become a new person. It's true. It's the same thing as the paradox. When you realize you will succeed, regardless of the obstacles in your way, few things can stop you. You can find something positive in every situation. This gets easier as well the more you do it. Number 5, I want to bring that car journey back up from earlier because it's relevant right here. One of the games I loved playing as a child and still enjoy today is Monopoly. And this is an important example in the book. Collins shows you how greatness can be within your grasp, but you can lose it. Hasbro had signs of greatness, but they had what I call diet, not lifestyle. If my dad at any moment stopped the car or turned around because of our questions, we wouldn't arrive. This is what Jim says about companies like Hasbro, who made childhood fun with these games. He says on page 108, the Hasbro case reinforces a vital lesson. If you successfully apply these ideas, but then stop doing them, you will slide backward from great to good, or worse. You must keep applying. This is why for almost 20 years, I never lost weight. Because until I switched my mindset from diet to lifestyle, it never worked. Do you want to be great for a season or forever? You need to keep driving and never stop. Number 6. This is a hard one, but so necessary today. 2 years ago, I cut back much of the content I was making. I stopped making videos in large part, and the audience I built shrank. I'm sure some thought I was gone forever and my demise was at hand, but something else was happening. As painful as it was to do, I was realigning everything I was doing. This is why you are watching this video today. God told me to slow down. Once I slowed down, within months, things became clear, clearer than I'd seen in a while. I was able to see the scenery on the road I was driving down. I was no longer zooming down the road like a madman at 200 miles an hour. Now I could see the turns I had missed. It changed everything. Jim talks about driving through like the fog before things become clear. Then breakthrough comes. This is where fear sets in for most. You've got bills, so you can't slow down. You've got to keep up with the Joneses. You've got to post a fake perfect life on social media. Forget all that. That is how foolish, poor, never going to be great people live. Not you. This is why 95% of people are slaves in a job. That is exactly what the system wants. Sometimes you must slow down to speed up forever. Number 7. Speaking of things poor people do. This is a big one. But when you've been living this paradox out, it's much easier to defeat. Think about the reasons I've shared in this video about why I struggled before. I talked about not being positive enough. I talked about thinking who I was wasn't good enough. I've talked about making bad decisions or not living the life, only a diet. The common theme is me. I am in control of myself, not something outside of me. I did not say I'm missing some tool only the rich have access to. I did not say if I had money like Dave Ramsey, people would buy my book too. Dave Ramsey put the work in. He's fought to get where he is, and I love people like Dave Ramsey because they show you how to escape the trap. It's not because of shiny objects that will save you. God has given you everything that you need to succeed. On page 148, he talks about technology. Some people think it's the platform or the tool that makes somebody great. The people are great and they use tools to show their greatness. Jim writes, the hedgehog concept would drive its use of technology, not the other way around. Meaning Shorts took off a few years ago. Millions stopped what they were doing and went all in on Shorts. They saw established brands have and speak of their success with Shorts. Then they thought because brands grew, they would too. The brands saw how Shorts or any new technology fit into their system. Then they acted. They were great before Shorts and will be great after. If you were not great before, why would you be great after? You must take the journey. Do great things for long enough, then great results show up. It's not the tools, it's you. That was a big insight for me because I believed this for years, but seeing data like this helped a lot. Number 8, I do not have a problem with Shorts. I could use many examples in its place. AI is the big new wave on the block right now. We must be serious about them. But all the great companies never rely on a tool. And all the great companies knew it takes time on the journey before greatness comes. The data shows they did not have what he called any miracle moment. Today we should call it any microwave moment. We live in a time where most want something fast, something instant. That's not the way greatness works. Stay in your lane and enjoy the ride. Breakout comes from consistency, not from inconsistency. On page 169 he writes, after pushing on that flywheel in a consistent direction over an extended period of time, they'd inevitably hit a point of breakthrough. There are anomalies, people who break this mold, but this is the blueprint to greatness. Number 9, remember I talked about slowing down to speed up forever. You must do this to avoid what he talks about on page 178. This is the journey millions of people take and they never leave. He writes about the companies that didn't soar. They sought the single defining action, the grand program, the one killer innovation, the miracle moment that would allow them to skip the arduous build-up stage and jump right through to breakthrough. They would push the flywheel in one direction, then stop, change course, and throw it in a new direction. And then they would stop, change course, and throw it into yet another direction. After years of lurching back and forth, the comparison companies failed to build sustained momentum and fell instead into what we came to call the doom loop. Things never change living this way. It's like the mice running on the hamster wheel. It will keep circling until it dies. Number 10. One of the great things about this book is all major action steps align with principles found in the Bible. So it's no surprise that this book isn't just good, it's great. So let me know what you think about the book. Go win, God bless.